An Introduction to Indian Art. Part I. Textbook in Fine Arts for Class 11. Forward. The National Council of Educational Research and Training, NCERT, has constantly been working for the past 50 years to bring in an impact on the country's school educational system. In the recent years, especially with the National Curriculum Framework, NCF, 2005, there has been a significant shift in the development of textbooks, their presentation and interdisciplinary approach, the typology of exercises, etc. All these efforts have made the textbooks child-friendly. At the senior secondary stage, which is also the school-leaving stage, students should have more options to move further in different fields of higher education or professional education. With this view, the NCERT for the first time took the initiatives of developing the curriculum and syllabi in different art-related areas for this stage. At this stage of education, the emphasis has been given to a professional approach towards the subject of fine arts, making it a discipline rather than on creating awareness and knowledge, which was generic in nature till secondary classes. The teaching objectives also shift towards sharpening of skills in fine arts and develop a perspective of design, and instead of free expression and doing arts, emphasis is on students expressing themselves in their own style and medium. Also, there has been a need to develop a historical perspective of art in context of the world as well as India. Art history is a part of studies of arts, and in itself, it is a major area of education from which students learn about their cultural heritage. It was observed that many of the education boards offer fine arts as an optional subject at the senior secondary stage, which includes painting, sculpture, applied arts, or commercial arts. These were reviewed, and a new syllabus was formed. Since this course, apart from the practical component, include theory which introduces students to the art historical heritage of country's diverse art and architecture, the textbook, An Introduction to Indian Art, has been developed for classes 11 and 12. The textbook for Class 11 extensively covers the tradition of cave paintings in the prehistoric era and their continuation in mural paintings of Buddhist era and later, on in various parts of the country, Buddhist, Jain, and Hindu sculptural and architectural developments. During the Indo-Islamic period, and before the Mughal rule, another era dawned upon India, which saw massive constructions in the form of forts and palaces. Different aspects of all these styles have been discussed to introduce students with the fabric of India's culture. The NCERT appreciates the hard work done by the Textbook Development Committee responsible for making this book. We wish to thank the Chief Advisor for this textbook, Professor Ratan Parmu, retired head, Department of Art. Preface. During the 19th century, the period of British rule, a few British colonial officers took active interest to study India's past in collaboration with some Indian scholars, and it is out of such endeavours that a systematic study of architectural monuments, sculptures, and paintings began in the Indian subcontinent. The first attempt in this regard document the monuments, as they represent a very visible evidence of the bygone era. Over a period of time with the archaeological explorations and excavations, many archaeological sites were discovered. Decipherment of inscriptions and coins played a very significant role in our understanding of the past art traditions. With the study of religious texts, history of religion was studied and identification of icons, sculptures, and paintings was initiated, which became a dominant area of early scholarship. Study of art history has developed in association with the archaeological studies. However, it is now recognized as a specialized discipline. In the West, mainly in Europe, the art historical discipline has grown considerably with numerous methodological inputs, whereas in India it is still in the process of developing its investigating mechanisms. As the study of art history has grown out of extensive documentations and excavations, one finds description of art objects as a prominent method of study. There are a few significant studies of the early 20th century, where the concerns are addressed beyond mere description. Subsequently, several generations of outstanding Western and Indian scholars of Indian art history have studied the subject at great depth, making us realize the glorious past of the Indian civilization through its creations reflected in the architectural monuments, sculptures, and paintings. We can claim a distinct Indian approach to the arts of the building edifices, the sculpture making, and the language of painting in comparison with the European art on one hand and the Far Eastern art on the other. Therefore, the Indian art historical studies have emerged as a prestigious academic discipline at a university-level education. While political and religious history contributed towards reconstructing historical developments, sculptural and architectural history has been reconstructed within the time frame of political history. The styles of many monuments and sculptures have been attributed to the dynastic affiliations like the Mauryan art, Satavahana art, Gupta art, etc. Alternatively, the periodizations of art follows religious denominations such as the Buddhist, Hindu, and Islamic periods. However, such deterministic nomenclatures are only partially useful for understanding the art traditions. Often the study of art objects is based on two important approaches. 1. Formalistic or stylistic analysis, and 2. Content and contextual studies. The first category involves study of formalistic characteristics of architecture, sculpture, paintings, whereas the second category concentrates at various levels of content analysis, which has several components such as iconographic study, iconology, narrative, and semiotics. Iconography involves identification of images through certain symbols, signs, and relevant myths or narrative episodes, whereas iconology involves study of evolution of such signs and symbols in its historical, social, and philosophical context. Today, the methodological framework tries to explore various concerns and issues in the process of art productions and attempts to go beyond the traditional meanings. It may be observed that the political intentions of various religious ideologies are yet to become the part of the larger investigative process. Religious ideologies also were instrumental in shaping the social and economic formulations in ancient India. Therefore, it becomes important to study such factors that have influenced art forms. Large body of material has come from the religious sites, but it does not mean that there was no art in non-religious domains. Terracotta figurines are the best examples in this category. However, due to space constraint, they have been only mentioned but not extensively discussed. In the present text, the authors have tried to move away from the normative traditional descriptive writings to broader development of art and architectural monuments in terms of their stylistic developments, as well as their social and political affiliations. Cultural manifestations have diverse ideologies in the form of architecture, sculpture, and paintings. They need to be studied with their religious and social viewpoints. Hence, unilinear projection of the cultural tradition needs to be reconsidered as it is away from realities of the ancient past. Different categories of artisans existed in the actual working situation. A guild of artisans may have been employed by the religious and political authorities for making monuments, and accordingly, the artisans had to work and devise their execution techniques along with necessary innovations. Etc. In this textbook, only an introductory outline has been attempted from pre- and proto-historic times till the times of the Islamic monuments during the late medieval period. Considering the level of the young generation readers belonging to the higher secondary stage, the present book outlines just a few examples to create an understanding of the nature of developments in Indian art. It is not intended to discard such examples which we know are important, but all the contributors have made a conscious attempt to present convincing holistic pictures. The chapters in the book provide an outline of different forms of arts from most of the regions of the country. Human civilization begins with the emergence of the human being on the earth. In this book, a simpler, but at the same time, a distinct vocabulary has been introduced. The idea is not only to present the vast amount of data available, but also to generate interest in understanding the visual traditions of Indian art. For any student of fine arts, it is necessary to be aware of the visual tradition in the past as to understand present art production. Understanding of visual tradition enriches visual understanding. Hope the young minds find the book enriching as is intended.
Image summary. The image is a depiction of a sculpture. It appears to be a religious figure. The figure seems to be an important figure based on the quality of the sculpture.
Textbook Development Committee. Chief Advisor. National Council of Educational Research and Training. Audio by Paper to Audio.
Image summary. The image is a portrait. It features a person, seemingly a statue with a serene expression. The details are somewhat faded, giving it an antique or artistic representation.
Gandhiji's talisman. I will give you a talisman. Whenever you are in doubt or when the self becomes too much with you, apply the following test. Recall the face of the poorest and the weakest man whom you may have seen and ask yourself if the step you contemplate is going to be of any use to him. Will he gain anything by it? Will it restore him to a control over his own life and destiny? In other words, will it lead to Swaraj for the hungry and spiritually starving millions? Then you will find your doubts and yourself melting away.
Image summary. The image appears to be a faded depiction of a human face or figure, possibly a statue or carving. The image seems to be an artistic representation. It is difficult to discern specific details due to the faded nature of the image. The figure is a map. The map shows prehistoric sites in India and surrounding countries. The map indicates areas with paintings, areas with engravings and paintings, areas with engravings, state capitals, and other important towns. Prehistoric sites are more concentrated in central India compared to other regions. Image summary. The image shows a prehistoric rock painting. The painting depicts human figures and animals. The figures are shown in various activities, like hunting. The painting provides insights into the lives and activities of people during prehistoric times, showcasing their artistic expression and representation of their surroundings.
Prehistoric rock paintings. Prehistoric times. How people lived in those times was difficult to surmise until scholars began to discover the places where prehistoric people lived. Excavation at these places brought to light old tools, pottery, habitats, bones of ancient human beings and animals, and drawings on cave walls. By piecing together the information deduced from these objects and the cave drawings, scholars have constructed fairly accurate knowledge about what happened and how people lived in prehistoric times. When the basic needs of food, water, clothing, and shelter were fulfilled, people felt the need to express themselves. Painting and drawing were the oldest art forms practiced by human beings to express themselves, using the cave walls as their canvas. Why did prehistoric people draw these pictures? They may have drawn and painted to make their homes more colorful and beautiful, or to keep a visual record of their day-to-day life, like some of us who maintain a diary. The prehistoric period in the early development of human beings is commonly known as the Old Stone Age or the Paleolithic Age. Prehistoric paintings have been found in many parts of the world. We do not really know if Lower Paleolithic people ever produced any art objects, but by the Upper Paleolithic times, we see a proliferation of artistic activities. Around the world, the walls of many caves of this time are full of finely carved and painted pictures of animals which the cave dwellers hunted. The subjects of their drawings were human figures, human activities, geometric designs, and symbols. In India, the earliest paintings have been reported from the Upper Paleolithic times. It is interesting to know that the first discovery of rock paintings was made in India in 1867–68 by an archaeologist, Archibald Carlyle, 12 years before the discovery of Altamira in Spain. Cockburn, Anderson, Mitra, and Ghosh were the early archaeologists who discovered a large number of sites in the Indian subcontinent. Remnants of rock paintings have been found on the walls of the caves situated in several districts of Madhya Pradesh, Uttar Pradesh, Andhra Pradesh, Karnataka, and Bihar. Some paintings have been reported from the Kumon Hills in Uttarakhand also. The rock shelters on banks of the river Sile at Lakudiyar, about 20 kilometers on the Almore-Berchana road, bear these prehistoric paintings. Lakudiyar literally means one-lock caves. The paintings here can be divided into 3 categories: man, animal, and geometric patterns in white, black, and red ochre. Humans are represented in stick-like forms. A long-snouted animal, a fox, and a multiple-legged lizard are the main animal motifs. Wavy lines, rectangle-filled geometric designs, and groups of dots can also be seen here. One of the interesting scenes depicted here is of hand-linked dancing human figures. There is some superimposition of paintings. The earliest are in black. Over these are red ochre paintings, and the last group comprises white paintings. From Kashmir, 2 slabs with engravings have been reported. The granite rocks of Karnataka and Andhra Pradesh provided suitable canvases to the Neolithic man for his paintings. There are several such sites, but more famous among them are Kupgalu, Piklihul, and Tekal Kota. 3 types of paintings have been reported from here: paintings in white, paintings in red ochre over a white background, and paintings in red ochre. These paintings belong to late historical, early historical, and Neolithic periods. The subjects depicted are bulls, elephants, sampars, gazelles, sheep, goats, horses, stylized humans, tridents, but rarely vegetal motifs. But the richest paintings are reported from the Vindhya ranges of Madhya Pradesh and their Kimmerean extensions into Uttar Pradesh. These hill ranges are full of Paleolithic and Mesolithic remains, and they are also full of forests, wild plants, fruits, streams, and creeks, thus a perfect place for Stone Age people to live. Among these, the largest and most spectacular rock shelter is located in the Vindhya Hills at Bhimbetka in Madhya Pradesh. Bhimbetka is located 45 kilometers south of Bhopal, in an area of 10 square kilometers, having about 800 rock shelters, 500 of which bear paintings. The caves of Bhimbetka were discovered in 1957 to 58 by eminent archaeologist V.S. Wakankar, and later on many more were discovered. Wakankar spent several years in surveying these inaccessible hills and jungles to study these paintings. The themes of paintings found here are of great variety, ranging from mundane events of daily life in those times to sacred and royal images. These include hunting, dancing, music, horse and elephant riders, animal fighting, honey collection, decoration of bodies, and other household scenes. The rock art of Bhimbetka has been classified into various groups on the bases of style, technique, and superimposition. The drawings and paintings can be categorized into 7 historical periods. Period 1, Upper Paleolithic, Period 2, Mesolithic, and Period 3, Chalcolithic. After Period 3, there are 4 successive periods, but we will confine ourselves here only to the first 3 phases.
Image summary. This is an image of prehistoric rock paintings. The image contains depictions of animals, specifically 2 deer-like creatures. The paintings are simple and linear, showcasing the artistic expression of prehistoric people. The image suggests the importance of animals in the lives and culture of prehistoric societies, potentially representing hunting practices or symbolic beliefs. The image is a composite of prehistoric cave paintings. It depicts human figures and animals. One image shows a figure riding an animal, while another shows multiple human figures holding hands. These paintings provide insight into the artistic expression and daily life of prehistoric people, showcasing their connection with nature and their social interactions. Image summary. The image shows a prehistoric painting of an animal. The animal appears to be a deer or antelope with large horns. The painting is simple, with the animal's body outlined in a single color. Hand-linked dancing figures, Lakudiyar, Uttarakhand summary. The image shows an example of prehistoric rock art. The painting depicts a series of human figures linked by their hands, seemingly engaged in a dance or some communal activity. The figures are simplified and stylized. The painting is located in Lakudiyar, Uttarakhand. Wavy lines, Lakudiyar, Uttarakhand image summary. This is an image of rock art. The image displays wavy lines. The art appears to be on a stone surface. The art shows geometric patterns. The art is in red.
Upper Paleolithic period. The paintings of the Upper Paleolithic phase are linear representations, in green and dark red, of huge animal figures, such as bisons, elephants, tigers, rhinos, and boars, besides stick-like human figures. A few are wash paintings, but mostly they are filled with "Can you figure out what the artist is trying to depict in this painting?" geometric patterns. The green paintings are of dancers and the red ones of hunters.
Cave entrance, Bhimbetka, Madhya Pradesh summary. The image shows a photograph of a cave entrance in Bhimbetka, Madhya Pradesh. The cave is made of rock and has a small opening. The surrounding area is filled with trees and vegetation. The cave appears to be a natural formation, possibly used by early humans as shelter. Image summary. The image shows a cave painting. The painting depicts animals like elephants and tigers. Some human figures are also visible in the painting. The painting appears to show humans interacting with or hunting the animals.
Mesolithic period. The largest number of paintings belong to Period 2 that covers the Mesolithic paintings. During this period, the themes multiply, but the paintings are smaller in size. Hunting scenes predominate. The hunting scenes depict people hunting in groups, armed with barbed spears, pointed sticks, arrows, and bows. In some paintings, these primitive men are shown with traps and snares, probably to catch animals. The hunters are shown wearing simple clothes and ornaments. Sometimes, men have been adorned with elaborate headdresses and sometimes painted with masks also. Elephant, bison, tiger, boar, deer, antelope, leopard, panther, rhinoceros, fish, frog, lizard, squirrel, and at times birds are also depicted. The Mesolithic artists loved to paint animals. In some pictures, animals are chasing men. In others, they are being chased and hunted by men. Some of the animal paintings, especially in the hunting scenes, show a fear of animals, but many others show a feeling of tenderness and love for them. There are also a few engravings representing mainly animals. Though animals were painted in a naturalistic style, humans were depicted only in a stylistic manner. Women are painted both in the nude and clothed. The young and the old equally find place in these paintings. Children are painted running, jumping, and playing. Community dances provide a common theme. There are paintings of people gathering fruit or honey from trees, and of women grinding and preparing food. Some of the pictures of men, women, and children seem to depict a sort of family life. In one of the few images showing only one animal, Bimbetka of the rock shelters, we find handprints, fist prints, and dots made by the fingertips.
Image summary. The image shows a painting from Bimbetka that depicts an animal. The painting is one of the few that features only a single animal. The painting is from one of the rock shelters.
Chalcolithic period. Period 3 covers the Chalcolithic period. The paintings of this period reveal the association, contact, and mutual exchange of requirements of the cave dwellers of this area with settled agricultural communities of the Malwa Plains. Many a time, Chalcolithic ceramics and rock paintings bear common motifs, for example, cross-hatched squares, lattices. Pottery and metal tools are also shown, but the vividness and vitality of the earlier periods disappear from these paintings. The artists of Bimbetka used many colors, including various shades of white, yellow, orange, red ochre, purple, brown, green, and black, but white and red were their favorite colors. The paints were made by grinding various rocks and minerals. They got red from hematite, known as Jeru in India. The green came from a green variety of a stone called chalcedony. White might have been made out of limestone. The rock of mineral was first ground into a powder. This may then have been mixed with water and also with some thick or sticky substance such as animal fat or gum or resin from trees. Brushes were made of plant fiber. What is amazing is that these colors have survived thousands of years of adverse weather conditions. It is believed that the colors have remained intact because of the chemical reaction of the oxide present on the surface of the rocks. The artists here made their paintings on the walls and ceilings of the rock shelters. Some of the paintings are reported from the shelters where people lived, but some others were made in places which do not seem to have been living spaces at all. Perhaps these places had some religious importance. Some of the most beautiful paintings are very high up on rock shelters or close to the ceilings of rock shelters. One may wonder why early human beings chose to paint on a rock in such an uncomfortable position. The paintings made at these places were perhaps for people to be able to notice them from a distance. The paintings, though from the remote past, do not lack pictorial quality. Despite various limitations such as acute working conditions, inadequate tools, materials, etc., there is a charm of simple rendering of scenes of the environment in which the artists lived. The men shown in them appear adventurous and rejoicing in their lives. The animals are shown more youthful and majestic than perhaps they actually were. The primitive artists seem to possess an intrinsic passion for storytelling. These pictures depict, in a dramatic way, both men and animals engaged in the struggle for survival. In one of the scenes, a group of people have been shown hunting a bison. In the process, some injured men are depicted lying scattered on the ground. In another scene, an animal is shown in the agony of death and the men are depicted dancing. These kinds.
Figure summary. The image shows a rock painting from Bimbetka depicting a hunting scene. The painting portrays a man being hunted by a beast. The animal is drawn larger than the man.
Hunting scene.
Image summary. The image shows Mesolithic paintings. One painting depicts a hunting scene where a group of people are hunting animals and some people are injured. The other painting depicts hand-linked figures in a dancing mode, which is a recurrent theme.
Dancing scene. Of paintings might have given man a sense of power over the animals, he would meet in the open. This practice is common among primitive people of today also. They engrave or paint on rocks as part of the rituals they perform at birth, at death, at coming of age, and at the time of marriage. They dance, masked, during hunting rites to help them kill animals difficult to find or kill. The paintings of individual animals show the mastery of skill of the primitive artist in drawing these forms. Both proportion and tonal effect have been realistically maintained in them. It is interesting to note that at many rock art sites, often a new painting is painted on top of an older painting. At Bhimbetka, in some places, there are as many as 20 layers of paintings, one on top of another. Why did the artists paint in the same place again and again? Maybe this was because the artist did not like his creation and painted another painting on the previous one. Or some of the paintings and places were considered sacred or special. Or this was because the area may have been used by different generations of people at different times. These prehistoric paintings help us to understand about early human beings, their lifestyle, their food habits, their daily activities, and above all, they help us understand their mind, the way they thought. Prehistoric period remains are a great witness to the evolution of human civilization through the numerous rock weapons, tools, ceramics, and bones. More than anything else, the rock paintings are the greatest wealth the primitive human beings of this period left behind.
Image summary. The image shows a painting of a dancing scene. The painting depicts hand-linked figures in a dancing posture. This is a recurring theme in similar paintings.
Exercise. 1. According to your observation, how did the people of prehistoric times select themes for their paintings? 2. What could have been the reasons for depicting more animal figures than human figures in cave paintings? 3. Many visuals of prehistoric cave paintings have been given in this chapter. Among these, which one do you like the most and why? Give a critical appreciation of the visual. 4. Other than Bhimbetka, which are the other major sites where these prehistoric paintings have been found? Prepare a report on different aspects of these paintings with pictures or line drawings. 5. In modern times, how have walls been used as a surface to make paintings, graphics, etc.? Arts of the Indus Valley. The arts of the Indus Valley civilization emerged during the second half of the 3rd millennium BCE. The forms of art found from various sites of the civilization include sculptures, seals, pottery, gold jewelry, terracotta figures, etc. The artists of that time surely had fine artistic sensibilities and a vivid imagination. Their delineation of human and animal figures was highly realistic in nature, since the anatomical details included in them was unique. And, in the case of terracotta art, the modeling of animal figures was done in an extremely careful manner. The two major sites of the Indus Valley civilization, along the Indus River, the cities of Harappa in the north and Mohenjo-daro in the south showcase one of earliest examples of civic planning. Other markers were houses, markets, storage facilities, offices, public baths, etc., arranged in a grid-like pattern. There was also a highly developed drainage system. While Harappa and Mohenjo-daro are situated in Pakistan, the important sites excavated in India are Lothal and Dhalavira in Gujarat, Rakhigarhi in Haryana, Ropar in the Punjab, Kalibangan and Balathal in Rajasthan, etc. Statues, whether in stone, bronze, or terracotta found in Harappan sites are not abundant, but refined.
Map summary. The image is a map depicting Indus Valley sites. It shows the geographical locations of both ancient cities and modern towns within the region. The distribution of ancient cities appears to be more concentrated in certain areas, while modern towns are more dispersed throughout the map. Image summary. The image shows an artifact from the Indus Valley civilization. The artifact contains an animal figure, possibly a bull or similar livestock, along with some Indus script symbols at the top. The animal is depicted with intricate details, and there is a stylized object in front of it. The artifact reflects the artistic and symbolic representations prevalent during the Indus Valley civilization.
Stone statues. The stone statuaries found at Harappa and Mohenjo-daro are excellent examples of handling three-dimensional volumes. In stone, our two male figures. One is a torso in red sandstone, and the other is a bust of a bearded man in steatite, which are extensively discussed. The figure of the bearded man, interpreted as a priest, is draped in a shawl coming under the right arm and covering the left shoulder. This shawl is decorated with trefoil patterns. The eyes are a little elongated and half-closed as in meditative concentration. The nose is well-formed and of medium size. The mouth is of average size with close-cut mustache and a short beard and whiskers. The ears resemble double shells with a hole in the middle. The hair is parted in the middle, and a plain woven fillet is passed round the head. An armlet is worn on the right hand, and holes around the neck suggest a necklace. Bronze casting techniques of the same nature are practiced even now in many parts of the country, having a continuous tradition.
Image summary. This image shows a stone statue of a bearded man. The statue depicts a man draped in a shawl decorated with trefoil patterns. His eyes are elongated and half-closed, suggesting meditative concentration. The statue has a well-formed nose, a mouth with a close-cut mustache, a short beard, and ears resembling double shells. The hair is parted in the middle, with a plain woven fillet around the head. He is wearing an armlet on his right hand, and holes around the neck indicate a necklace.
Bronze casting. The art of bronze casting was practiced on a wide scale by the Harappans. Their bronze statues were made using the lost wax technique, in which the wax figures were first covered with a coating of clay and allowed to dry. Then the wax was heated, and the molten wax was drained out through a tiny hole made in the clay cover. The hollow mold thus created was filled with molten metal, which took the original shape of the object. Once the metal cooled, the clay cover was completely removed. In bronze, we find human as well as animal figures, the best example of the former being the statue of a girl popularly titled Dancing Girl. Amongst animal figures in bronze, the buffalo with its uplifted head, back and sweeping horns, and the goat are of artistic merit. Bronze casting was popular at all the major centers of the Indus Valley civilization. The copper dog and bird of Lothal and the bronze figure of a bull from Calibangan are in no way inferior to the human figures of copper and bronze from Harappa and Mohenjo-daro. Metal casting appears to be a continuous tradition. The late Harappan and Chalcolithic sites like Damabad in Maharashtra yielded excellent examples of metal cast sculptures. They mainly consist of human and animal figures. It shows how the tradition of figure sculpture continued down the ages.
Image summary. The image shows a terracotta sculpture. The sculpture depicts a female figure with a headdress and jewelry. The figure has a serene expression and is posed in a symmetrical manner. The sculpture is an example of terracotta art, which was a common practice. Image summary. The image shows a terracotta figurine. It appears to be a sculpture of a human figure, possibly a deity or a significant person. The figurine is made of terracotta and showcases the artistic skills and cultural practices of the civilization that created it. The terracotta representations are more realistic in some sites. The figure may represent a deity.
Terracotta. The Indus Valley people made terracotta images also, but compared to the stone and bronze statues, the terracotta representations of human form are crude in the Indus Valley. They are more realistic in Gujarat sites and Calibangan. The most important among the Indus figures are those representing the mother goddess. In terracotta, we also find a few figurines of bearded males with coiled hair, their posture rigidly upright, legs slightly apart, and the arms parallel to the sides of the body. The repetition of this figure in exactly the same position would suggest that he was a deity. A terracotta mask of a horned deity has also been found. Toy carts with wheels, whistles, rattles, birds, and animals, gamesmen and discs were also rendered in terracotta.
Image summary. The image shows terracotta figurines from the Indus Valley civilization. The image displays a variety of forms, including toy carts, animal figures, and human figures. These terracotta representations offer insights into the artistic and cultural practices of the people from that era. The terracotta figures of human form are more realistic in Gujarat sites and Calibangan.
Seals. Archaeologists have discovered thousands of seals, usually made of steatite, and occasionally of agate, chert, copper, faience, and terracotta, with beautiful figures of animals, such as unicorn bull, rhinoceros, tiger, elephant, bison, goat, buffalo, etc. The realistic rendering of these animals in various moods is remarkable. The purpose of producing seals was mainly commercial. It appears that the seals were also used as amulets, carried on the persons of their owners, perhaps as modern-day identity cards. The standard Harappan seal was a square plaque 2 × 2 square inches, usually made from the soft river stone, steatite. Every seal is engraved in a pictographic script which is yet to be deciphered. Some seals have also been found in gold and ivory. They all bear a great variety of motifs, most often of animals including those of the bull, with or without the hump, the elephant, tiger, goat, and also monsters. Sometimes trees or human figures were also depicted. The most remarkable seal is the one depicted with a figure in the center and animals around. This seal is generally identified as the Pashupati seal by some scholars, whereas some identify it as the female deity. This seal depicts a human figure seated cross-legged. An elephant and a tiger are depicted to the right side of the seated figure, while on the left a rhinoceros and a buffalo are seen. In addition to these animals, 2 antelopes are shown below the seat. Seals such as these date from between 2500 and 1500 BCE and were found in considerable numbers in sites such as the ancient city of Mohenjo-daro in the Indus Valley. Figures and animals are carved in intaglio on their surfaces. Square or rectangular copper tablets, with an animal or a human figure on one side and an inscription on the other, or an inscription on both sides have also been found. The figures and signs are carefully cut with a burin. These copper tablets appear to have been amulets. Unlike inscriptions on seals, which vary in each case, inscriptions on the copper tablets seem to be associated with the animals portrayed on them.
Unicorn seals summary. The image shows seals. The seals contain images of unicorns and inscriptions. The seals are similar in appearance, with slight differences in the depiction of the unicorn and the inscriptions. Pashupati seal female deity summary. This is an image of a seal. The seal depicts a human figure seated cross-legged. To the right side of the seated figure, an elephant and a tiger are depicted, while on the left, a rhinoceros and a buffalo are visible. Additionally, 2 antelopes are shown below the seat.
Pottery. A large quantity of pottery excavated from the sites enable us to understand the gradual evolution of various design motifs as employed in different shapes and styles. The Indus Valley pottery consists chiefly of very fine wheel-made wares, very few being handmade. Plain pottery is more common than painted ware. Plain pottery is generally of red clay, with or without a fine red or gray slip. It includes knobbed ware, ornamented with rows of knobs. The black painted ware has a fine coating of red slip on which geometric and animal designs are executed in glossy black paint. Polychrome pottery is rare and mainly comprises small vases decorated with geometric patterns in red, black, and green, rarely white and yellow. Incised ware is also rare, and the incised decoration was confined to the bases of the pans, always inside, and to the dishes of offering stands. Perforated pottery includes a large hole at the bottom and small holes all over the wall, and was probably used for straining liquor. Pottery for household purposes is found in as many shapes and sizes as could be conceived of for daily practical use. Straight and angular shapes are an exception, while graceful curves are the rule. Miniature vessels, mostly less than half an inch in height, are particularly so marvelously crafted as to evoke admiration. Beads and ornaments. The Harappan men and women decorated themselves with a large variety of ornaments produced from every conceivable material ranging from precious metals and gemstones to bone and baked clay. While necklaces, fillets, armlets, and fingerrings were commonly worn by both sexes, women wore girdles, earrings, and anklets. Hoards of jewelry found at Mohenjo-daro and Lothal include necklaces of gold and semi-precious stones, copper bracelets and beads, gold earrings and head ornaments, faience pendants and buttons, and beads of steatite and gemstones. All ornaments are well crafted. It may be noted that a cemetery has been found at Farmana in Haryana, where dead bodies were buried with ornaments. The bead industry seems to have been well developed as evident from the factories discovered at Mohenjo-daro and Lothal. Beads were made of cornelian, amethyst, jasper, crystal, quartz, steatite, turquoise, lapis lazuli, etc. Metals like copper, bronze, and gold and shell, faience, and terracotta or burnt clay were also used for manufacturing beads. The beads are in varying shapes: disc-shaped, cylindrical, spherical, barrel-shaped, and segmented. Some beads were made of 2 or more stones cemented together, some of stone with gold covers. Some were decorated by incising or painting, and some had designs etched onto them. Great technical skill has been displayed in the manufacture of these beads. The Harappan people also made brilliantly naturalistic models of animals, especially monkeys and squirrels, used as pinheads and beads. It is evident from the discovery of a large number of spindles and spindle whorls in the houses of the Indus Valley that spinning of cotton and wool was very common. The fact that both the rich and the poor practiced spinning is indicated by finds of whorls made of the expensive faience, as also of the cheap pottery and shell. Men and women wore two separate pieces of attire similar to the dhoti and shawl. The shawl covered the left shoulder, passing below the right shoulder. From archaeological finds, it appears that the people of the Indus Valley were conscious of fashion. Different hairstyles were in vogue, and wearing of a beard was popular among all. Cinnabar was used as a cosmetic, and face paint, lipstick, and collyrium eyeliner were also known to them. Many stone structural remains are also found at Dhalavira, which show how the Indus Valley people used stone in construction. The artists and craftsmen of the Indus Valley were extremely skilled in a variety of craftsmetal casting, stone carving, making and painting pottery, and making terracotta images using simplified motifs of animals, plants, and birds.
Perforated pot summary. The image shows a perforated pot. The pot has a cylindrical shape with a wider opening at one end. There are multiple holes of varying sizes scattered across the surface of the pot. The pot is likely made of clay. Based on the context, such pots were probably used for straining liquor. Pottery figure summary. The figure shows pottery artifacts. The pottery comes in various shapes and sizes, including vases and pots. The pottery is decorated with geometric patterns. The pottery showcases the craftsmanship and artistic skills of the people. Beadwork and jewelry items summary. The image shows an assortment of ancient beadwork and jewelry. The collection includes various types of beads, such as disc-shaped, cylindrical, and spherical, along with other ornamental items. The jewelry appears to be crafted from materials like stone and possibly metal. The items seem to be well preserved, offering a glimpse into the craftsmanship and artistic preferences of the time. Terracotta toys image summary. The image shows terracotta toys. The toys represent animal figures. One toy depicts a boar, while the other depicts a horse. These toys suggest the Indus Valley people's artistic skills and their familiarity with animals.
Exercise 1. Would you agree that the people of the Indus Valley civilization were great art lovers? Give reasons for your answer. 2. What kind of similarities and differences do you find between present-day terracotta and the Indus Valley terracotta? 3. Seals were made of different materials. With the Indus Valley seals as a reference, try to make seals with a different medium. Which are the animals that you would like to carve on your seals and why? 4. What do the art objects that have survived tell us about the daily life of the people of the Indus Valley civilization? 5. Imagine you are a curator working in a museum, and you have been given the task to create a museum exhibit on Indus art. Collect illustrations of at least 10 objects made of stone, metal, and terracotta produced and used during the Indus Valley civilization, and create this exhibit.
Image summary. The image shows a sculpture of a dancing girl. The sculpture depicts a female figure with long hair tied in a bun. She's adorned with bangles on her left arm, a bracelet and bangle on her right arm, and a necklace around her neck. Her right hand rests on her hip, while her left hand is in a traditional Indian dance gesture. The figure exhibits large eyes and a flat nose. The sculpture conveys expression and bodily vigor, providing insight into the culture and artistic skill of the Indus Valley civilization.
Dancing girl. Dancing girl, one of the best-known artifacts from the Indus Valley, is this approximately 4-inch-high copper figure of a dancing girl. Found in Mohenjo-daro, this exquisite casting depicts a girl whose long hair is tied in a bun. Bangles cover her left arm, a bracelet and an amulet or bangle adorn her right arm, and a cowrie shell necklace is seen around her neck. Her right hand is on her hip, and her left hand is clasped in a traditional Indian dance gesture. She has large eyes and flat nose. This figure is full of expression and bodily vigor and conveys a lot of information. Bull. Bull. This bronze figure of a bull from Mohenjo-daro deserves mention. The massiveness of the bull and the fury of the charge are eloquently expressed. The animal is shown standing with his head turned to the right and with a cord around the neck.
Image summary. The image depicts a bronze figure of a bull from Mohenjo-daro. The statue showcases the massiveness of the bull and the fury of the charge. The animal is standing with its head turned to the right and with a cord around its neck. The statue appears quite detailed, with a textured surface that highlights the animal's form.
Male torso. Male torsing this red sandstone figure, there are socket holes in the neck and shoulders for the attachment of head and arms. The frontal posture of the torso has been consciously adopted. The shoulders are well baked and the abdomen slightly prominent.
Image summary. The image is of a sandstone torso. The torso is a red color and has socket holes in the neck and shoulders. The shoulders are well baked and the abdomen is slightly prominent. The posture of the torso is frontal. Image summary. The image displays a painted earthen jar. The jar was crafted using a potter's wheel and clay. The shape was formed by the potter's skilled manipulation. After baking, it was painted black and polished for a refined finish. The designs feature simple vegetal and geometric motifs, showing a move towards abstraction.
Painted earthen jar. Painted earthen jar found in Mohenjo-daro. This jar is made on a potter's wheel with clay. The shape was manipulated by the pressure of the crafty fingers of the potter. After baking the clay model, it was painted with black color. High polishing was done as a finishing touch. The motifs are of vegetals and geometric forms. Designs are simple, but with a tendency towards abstraction.
Image summary. The image depicts a sculpture of a mother goddess. The figure is a standing female adorned with necklaces and wearing a loin cloth and girdle. The headdress is fan-shaped with a cup-like projection on each side. The eyes and nose are crude, and the mouth is indicated by a slit.
Mother goddess. Mother goddess. The mother goddess figures are usually crude standing female figures adorned with necklaces hanging over prominent breasts and wearing a loin cloth and a girdle. The fan-shaped headdress with a cup-like projection on each side is a distinct decorative feature of the mother goddess figures of the Indus Valley. The pellet eyes and beaked nose of the figures are very crude, and the mouth is indicated by a slit.
Map showing Marian sites summary. The figure is a map illustrating various Marian sites. The map shows the geographical distribution of these sites across the Indian subcontinent. The sites are spread across a large area, with a higher concentration in the northern and central regions. This suggests that the Marian Empire had a widespread influence and control over these regions. Image summary. The image shows a sculpture of 4 lions standing back to back, mounted on a circular base. The lions are very detailed. The sculpture is a pillar capital. The pillar capital is vigorous.
Arts of the Mauryan period. 6th century BCE marks the beginning of new religious and social movements in the Gangetic